Hi guys, my name is Dante. Let's paint 10 covers. So, The Tales Untold is a new collection of short stories by Kevin Folk, and so it includes 9 stories plus the main cover. And we're gonna paint that. So I read all of the stories and I really loved them, especially certain ones that are not too dark. The whole collection is generally kind of dark. To give you an example, the main cover is a tombstone with Kevin's name on it. So Kevin and I already went through all of the stories and have all the sketches approved. So now you and I are gonna turn them into colors. So let's start. We'll go through all the 10 covers today. I'll be introducing each and one of them as we go through them. So the first one is called Zenfried the Toilet Man. And this is my idea for the cover. It's a funny story, so the cover is appropriate to that. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna go through all the 10 covers and create like a super low resolution color versions of them. Not following any silhouettes, not adding any details, just deciding on the colors and the lighting to have a general understanding of what's gonna happen next. And in the future, we're gonna elaborate into the details up to a certain extent. I'm not sure if I'll be detailing everything in front of a camera, or maybe I'll finalize the small details on my own, because that's not a lot of fun to look at, I guess. As a process, I mean, it's fine, but you barely see any difference. Anyway, the point is that right now, we do as I said. So let's start. The first cover, it has to have a feeling of like a superhero dramatic kind of look. So that's why we're looking at this toilet seat from below, so it looks more epic, heroic and whatnot. So yeah, there will be some dark environment with vignetting and whatnot. So here I am, decided on the colors for all the objects being lit by the cold ambient light. And that's why they're kind of like dim, dark, and cold, because this is the secondary light, the shadow color. And now I'm gonna add the main light that's hitting from the upper part. So this is the color for the toilet when it's lit. And I'll add all the colors like that right now on top for all the objects. So that's the plan. By the way, I'm gonna have to switch to Photoshop at a certain point, because PaintStorm Studio, and that's something that I keep forgetting to mention in any video ever when I'm using PaintStorm, this program doesn't have a text tool yet. Like, there's no type tool, as you can see. You literally can't create text with it at all. I'm pretty sure that's gonna be changed soon enough, but for now, in version 2.0, it doesn't have a text tool. Moving on. Okay, now as I'm done with all the main light colors for the objects, now I'm gonna add the next thing that is obviously needed the most. Next is I'll add some ambient shadows, meaning the ones where the objects collide. There's like a deep shadows in all the cracks and whatnot. So between the fingers right here, there will be just a darker color of this cold color. I'll grab the color, I'll make it darker, I'll add the shadows. And that's what I'm gonna do for all the objects now. So let's continue. Okay, so I'm probably done with this one. I also add a little bit of reflected light on the arm, because there's a lot of same colored objects having their shadow parts next to the lit parts, so there will be reflected light. And also some of the reflections with paler colors here and there on this metal part too. So yeah, that's about it. Also, I increased the brightness of the lit area of the toilet seat itself, because it felt a bit gray comparing to everything else. Needed to be brighter. So yeah, let's keep it this way. We'll play with the font later in Photoshop. Let's move on to the second cover. Elevated Suspension. All I'm gonna say, this is the story told by an elevator itself. So the concept is also pretty simple. We can see a clown's hand pressing a button to call an elevator. This one also needs to look kinda dark because it should be kinda like satirically horror-like. So let's start dropping some colors in the same fashion. Okay, so I think this is about it for the elevated suspension. Seems to be quite legit, meaning looks like a light coming from the button and whatnot. I used this light as the bright light and everything else as like a dimming ambient light, the colder one. Changed the design of the wrist thing in here because I was really unsure about the look of the clown hand. Initially, I was going to look up some references anyway. This is totally awesome for this color base version. So moving on to Willow Tree. So this one is a little verse, and it's about a willow tree. So when I read it, it gave me this kind of mood. So I decided to go more of into an illustration flat kind of look to just work with the mood and make it look more Tumblr-ish. So yeah, let's search for the colors, but they're mostly gonna be black and sky color, like literally this one, as far as I can see it. But let's see. At least we should add some gradients to the sky, and then see what comes next. Okay, now, this is it for the willow tree. Really love the mood that is building up. Still a lot of things to decide on, but in the details, obviously, like the way I will render these streaks of leaves and what specific shape the branches will have is also pretty important. And that will also allow to better maintain the contrast between the random branches and the branches of the tile. But yeah, generally, I think I really like it. Moving on. Le Fraudescence Pittoresque. Not even gonna try to, yeah. So, this one is also very poetic. It's not a verse though, but it is that. And it's also, same as the previous one, is describing the beauty of nature. Most of the stories are grouped in two, so the first two were funny and they both have this satirically dark kind of mood to them. And these two are both going to be in the same kind of setup. So in here, I visualize it's like a door that is leading to this secret, beautiful place, which is kind of the feeling that the story gives. It's about a very special, beautiful place. So there's a gorgeous, beautiful day that is like dripping through the door, and we see some butterflies and whatnot, like a 3D cinema effect. So some stuff is going on around, some god rays spilling through the door as well. So I'm thinking the surroundings should also be this specific color, the way the previous cover had, to maintain the same kind of art style or the same kind of setup for these two stories that have something in common. So let's start the search. So I think I'm pretty much done with this one. This looks even better in color, with all the shadows when it feels like it's actual things getting out of the door. So yeah, a lot more details into the nature will make it look just perfect. Moving on. The three Phalagonians and the hybrid equestrian steed. So this is the beginning of another two kind of funny, positive stories, but these are a bit different. They're both happening in a fantasy universe, so we'll have to keep that in mind. And also they feel a lot more like they're legends a little bit, or a lot. I don't know, they're like in a very special kind of, like they're a bit of a folklore kind of style, which is really cool. Like, it's awesome to read. So these colors are supposed to be very happy and sunny, including the next cover as well. So very colorful, vibrant blue sky and very bright sunlight on this horse standing on a pile of skulls of people who were trying to sit on the horse and fighting each other to be able to sit on the horse. Let's start. Alright, looks like I'm done here. Pretty nice colors. I made the shadows warm and made sure I didn't miss any of the reflected light and made it pretty saturated. Looking pretty good. And the title will probably be white. So yeah, this is it for the horse. Moving on. And move on we shall in the second part of the 10 covers for Tales Untold. In a few days. You just wait.